What if everything you thought was an accident was meticulously orchestrated from the shadows? For example, what if the Black Mesa Incident wasn't just a freak accident, but a calculated event designed to change everything we know about reality? Think about it. A single alien crystal, GG3883, mysteriously delivered to Black Mesa, flagged as dangerously unstable, yet pushed into an experiment with safety protocols cranked up to their limits. The result? A resonance cascade, a catastrophic chain reaction that ripped open interdimensional rifts, unleashing the horrors of Xen. But here's where it changes. Black Mesa wasn't just exploring teleportation, they were actively sending teams into Xen long before the cascade. Files hidden deep in the lore suggest this wasn't their first breach, but their biggest mistake. And then there's the Combine, an interdimensional empire that just happened to show up after the cascade, ready to take advantage of Earth's weakened state. Coincidence? Maybe not. Add in the shadowy presence of the G-Man slipping through the chaos like a puppet master, and it's clear this wasn't just a disaster, it was a trigger. As we'll explore, the events of Black Mesa ripple far beyond the desert facility, connecting to Aperture Science experiments, suppressed government projects, and the invasion that would define the future of humanity. This wasn't the day the lab fell apart, it was the day reality itself cracked wide open. In this video, we'll start by exploring the origins and purpose of Black Mesa, move into the ambitious research that led up to the resonance cascade, walk through the chaotic events of the incident itself, and finally examine its long-lasting aftermath and the broader implications for the Half-Life universe. The Black Mesa Incident is the event that sets the entire Half-Life series in motion, creating the conditions for every major conflict that follows. The resonance cascade, triggered during a routine experiment, caused a massive breach that allowed alien creatures from Xen to enter Earth. This breach didn't just bring hostile species like headcrabs and bull squids, it also served as the catalyst for Earth's eventual conquest during the 7-Hour War, the aftermath of the Black Mesa Incident when the Combine took control of the planet. The incident's effects are felt throughout the entire series. The resonance cascade not only sets up Gordon Freeman's fight for survival in Half-Life, but also lays the groundwork for the Combine's dominance, which we see fully established in Half-Life 2. The alien species that arrived during the breach became central to the narrative, from enemies to key allies like the Vortigons, who would later fight alongside humanity. The Black Mesa Incident also highlights the risks of prioritizing results over safety. Driven by competition with Aperture Science and pressure to deliver breakthroughs, Black Mesa ignored clear warnings about the dangers of their experiments. The consequences of that day didn't just affect the facility, they reshaped the future of the entire planet, making this moment the foundation for the Half-Life universe. The idea of the Black Mesa research facility wasn't pulled out of thin air. It's a clear nod to real-world government installations known for secrecy and cutting-edge research. Valve developers have cited inspiration from places like Area 51 and Los Alamos National Laboratory, both iconic locations tied to classified projects and speculative technologies. Area 51 is infamous for its alleged research into extraterrestrial phenomena, while Los Alamos was the birthplace of the atomic bomb under the Manhattan Project. Black Mesa mirrors these facilities in its remote location in the New Mexico desert and its sprawling, compartmentalized design. Its labs focus on advanced research in fields like teleportation, materials science, and theoretical physics, much like the top-secret experiments rumored to occur at real-world equivalents. The game's depiction of corporate and government secrecy, combined with high-stakes experimentation, taps into the fascination and fears surrounding places like these. This connection isn't just window dressing, it adds a layer of realism that grounds the science fiction of Half-Life. By rooting Black Mesa in something familiar yet mysterious, Valve created a setting that feels plausible enough to make the disaster at its core all the more impactful. It's science fiction with one foot firmly planted in the real world, a perfect mix of imagination and authenticity. Xen played a much larger role in Black Mesa's operations than most people realize, as shown in Half-Life spin-offs like Opposing Force and Blue Shift. These games uncover details about Black Mesa's extended history with Xen, revealing that the facility wasn't just exploring the border world, it was actively exploiting it. Through these missions, we see the scale of Black Mesa's reliance on Xen's materials, like unique crystals like GG3883, to live alien specimens used for testing and experimentation. Opposing Force introduces us to Race X, a faction of bioengineered aliens entirely distinct from Xen's natural specimens. This group includes creatures like shock troopers who wield organic weaponry and voltigores, massive beasts with devastating electrical attacks. Unlike vortigaunts or headcrabs, Race X seems engineered for combat, suggesting that Black Mesa's interference with Xen may have attracted attention from more advanced or organized forces. Their origin is left ambiguous, but their sudden appearance during the Cascade hints at deeper consequences of Black Mesa's experiments. Meanwhile, Blue Shift provides a more grounded view of the chaos. Through the perspective of Barney Calhoun, we see how security personnel were largely kept in the dark, despite working in an environment filled with dangerous aliens and volatile technology. Hints scattered through the game's environment, like containment logs and damaged labs, suggest that Black Mesa's obsession with Xen wasn't just reckless, it was widespread. These additional perspectives enhance our understanding of Xen's role in Black Mesa's research. The introduction of Race X and the deeper context provided by these spin-offs reframe the Resonance Cascade not as a singular event, but as the culmination of years of unchecked experimentation. Together, they paint a picture of a facility that was always teetering on the edge of disaster. The Black Mesa Research Facility wasn't built from scratch, it was repurposed from a decommissioned Cold War missile complex in the New Mexico desert. This location was ideal for secrecy, with its remote terrain and miles of underground infrastructure designed to withstand nuclear attacks. By the time Black Mesa took over, the facility had evolved into a sprawling network of labs, testing grounds, and high-security sectors. The origins of the facility tied directly into the competitive race for scientific dominance, as it served as a hub for cutting-edge research across multiple fields, including physics, material science, and teleportation technology. Black Mesa operated under a unique combination of corporate funding and government oversight, making it a hybrid of private and public interests. This allowed it to undertake experiments that pushed ethical and safety boundaries far beyond what would be acceptable in standard research institutions. The facility's primary purpose was to develop technologies that could offer strategic advantages, whether through energy breakthroughs, teleportation, or military applications. Its rivalry with Aperture Science added further pressure to produce results at any cost. This mix of ambition, secrecy, and high-pressure innovation created an environment where safety often took a backseat to progress. Black Mesa's origins as a repurposed military installation helped shape its identity as a place built to push boundaries, but those same traits also made it vulnerable to the disaster that would eventually define it. Sector C Test Labs is one of the most significant sections of Black Mesa, serving as the site of the anti-mass spectrometer and the infamous resonance cascade. The sector was dedicated to advanced material analysis, with labs outfitted for high-energy experiments on substances like Xen crystals. The design of Sector C hints at how central it was to Black Mesa's mission. Its proximity to administrative offices suggests direct oversight by key personnel, and its equipment reflects a no-expense-spared approach to research. Yet its location also raises questions about safety, as the Cascade's devastation spread quickly due to the sector's connection to other high-traffic areas. The Lambda Complex, on the other hand, represents the pinnacle of Black Mesa's experimental research. Tucked away in one of the most secure parts of the facility, it housed teleportation arrays and containment systems designed to interact directly with Xen. The complex wasn't just a research hub, it became the center of Black Mesa's attempts to control the chaos during the Cascade. With its advanced understanding of Xen's properties, the Lambda Complex's staff were able to identify the source of the disaster and send Gordon Freeman to Xen to close the breach. Its heavily secured layout and specialized equipment highlight the advanced state of teleportation research Black Mesa had achieved before the incident. In addition to these key areas, Black Mesa featured numerous auxiliary sectors that supported its main research operations. These included waste processing facilities, low-security dormitories, and storage units for hazardous materials. The interconnected tram system allowed for rapid transportations between these zones, but its vulnerability became evident during the Cascade when the system failed, leaving survivors stranded across the facility. The facility design reflects the conflicting priorities of Black Mesa. On one hand, state-of-the-art labs and secure containment systems. On the other, glaring oversights in safety and evacuation protocols. The Black Mesa Research Facility operated under a unique and often volatile partnership between corporate interests and government oversight. This dual-source funding model gave Black Mesa unparalleled resources, allowing it to pursue research that would be impossible under standard regulatory frameworks. However, this setup also created tensions, as corporate backers prioritized profitability and innovation, while government agencies focused on military applications and strategic dominance. From the government's perspective, Black Mesa's work was a high-stakes investment in cutting-edge technologies with national security implications. The teleportation experiments and material analysis being conducted weren't just specific endeavors, they were seen as potential tools for military superiority. Evidence of this can be found in the deployment of the HECU, or Hazardous Environment Combat Unit, to the facility following the Resonance Cascade. Their swift response suggests the government was deeply entwined with Black Mesa's operations, prepared to protect its secrets at all costs. On the corporate side, Black Mesa's operations were driven by competition, particularly with Aperture Science. Unlike Aperture's somewhat eccentric focus on portal technology, Black Mesa emphasized teleportation and the extraction of resources from Xen. The financial backers behind Black Mesa were eager to capitalize on the facility's breakthroughs, pushing scientists to deliver results despite mounting risks. This pressure to stay ahead of competitors likely played a role in the rushed experiments that triggered the Cascade. Tensions between these two forces, government oversight and corporate ambition, are hinted at throughout the series. Scattered dialogue and in-game memos revealed disagreements over priorities, with some officials pushing for more controlled experimentation, while others demanded faster progress. The rivalry with Aperture Science also highlights how the pressure came from both external competitors and internal stakeholders. Black Mesa's secrecy was a direct byproduct of these competing interests. The government wanted to shield sensitive projects from foreign adversaries, while corporate sponsors needed to protect proprietary technologies. This combination created a culture where transparency was non-existent, allowing dangerous experiments to proceed unchecked. The rivalry between Black Mesa and Aperture Science is a subtle yet fascinating link between the Half-Life and Portal universes. While not a major focus in the games, references in Portal and Portal 2 hint at an intense competition between the two organizations, each striving to push boundaries of advanced research. Black Mesa's work on accessing Xen and Aperture's development of the Borealis, a ship capable of completely vanishing, showcase how both organizations were racing to develop groundbreaking technologies, often ignoring the potential consequences. The original Half-Life is packed with memorable hidden details that add depth to Black Mesa's sprawling facility. One standout is the break room microwave in Sector C, where you can overheat a casserole. The nearby scientist's sarcastic comments make this fan-favorite moment and a rare glimpse into the daily routines of Black Mesa employees. Another Easter egg is the Half-Life Developer Room, accessible via NoClip. This space showcases portraits of Valve's original team, hidden in the game as a nod to the people who created it. For a visual showcase, other examples include abandoned labs filled with half-completed projects, stacks of mysterious documents, and props like broken machines or misplaced crates, which hint at a Black Mesa's chaotic work environment. These areas can be explored during Freeman's journey, or uncovered through secrets like NoClip or explored scrapped assets found in the game files. The cut content and unused elements from Half-Life reveal just how much deeper Black Mesa's operations went beyond what we see in the final game. Scrapped areas, abandoned dialogue, and unimplemented features suggest a facility far larger and more complex than what we explored, with layers of secrecy and experimentation that were only hinted at in the finished product. One of the most intriguing lost elements is the Bioweapons Division, which appears in early design notes and unused textures. This section was rumored to focus on weaponizing alien creatures and researching their potential as biological weapons. The existence of the Bioweapons Division would fit Black Mesa's role as a government-backed facility, and its absence in the final game leaves questions about how far the facility's military ties extended. Traces of this division are scattered in the files, with unused props like containment pods and weaponized alien models suggesting a more aggressive research agenda than was presented in the game. Unimplemented NPC interactions provide another layer of insight into Black Mesa's inner workings. Scientists and security guards were originally intended to have more dynamic dialogue, referencing specific experiments, departmental rivalries, and concerns about safety. For example, some unused voice lines hint that select staff were aware of the risks posed by the Xen crystals, but were silenced or ignored due to corporate and administrative pressures. These lines paint a picture of a facility where dissent was stifled, further emphasizing the reckless environment. Cut levels also add to the intrigue. Early plans for an extended tram system would have showcased even more of Black Mesa's sprawling underground complex. The tram ride was set to include glimpses of sectors like waste processing, alien containment, and experimental labs. By examining this hidden lore, we get a better understanding of the sheer scale and ambition of Black Mesa's operations. These cut ideas provide a fascinating what could have been and offer insight into just how much was happening behind the scenes in this massive secretive facility. Dr. Gordon Freeman is at the center of the Black Mesa Incident, not as a hero by design, but as a scientist caught in an unprecedented catastrophe. As a theoretical physicist working in Sector C, Freeman's role in the incident begins with a seemingly routine task, inserting the crystal GG3883 into the anti-mass spectrometer. This action, under orders from superiors, triggers the resonance cascade, setting the events of Half-Life in motion. The HEV suit, or Hazardous Environment suit, is critical to Freeman's survival, and his ability to navigate the fallout of the cascade. Designed by Black Mesa to protect researchers in volatile conditions, the suit shields Freeman from radiation, toxic substances, and physical harm. It becomes more than just a tool. It's a symbol of how Freeman was uniquely equipped to survive an environment where most others perished. The HEV suit advanced capabilities, including its shielding system and medical monitoring, allow Freeman to navigate through hazardous areas, making him the only one capable of reaching the Lambda complex to address the cascade. Freeman's silence during the incident isn't just a character trait, it reflects his role as an outsider within Black Mesa. He follows orders, works in isolation, and has little knowledge of the broader experiments happening in the facility. This detachment emphasizes the chaotic and fragmented nature of the Black Mesa Incident, where even those at the center of the disaster were unaware of its full implications. Freeman's journey through the facility highlights the scale of Black Mesa's collapse, as he moves from lab assistant to the unlikely figure tasked with shutting down the rift in Xen. Dr. Eli Vance and Dr. Isaac Kleiner were key figures in Black Mesa's teleportation research, and their work directly contributed to the experiments that led to the resonance cascade. Both were senior researchers in the Lambda complex, specializing in the development of teleportation technology that bridged the gap between Earth and Xen. Their expertise was critical in advancing Black Mesa's understanding of Xen crystals and the mechanics of interworld travel, but it also placed them at the heart of the facility's most dangerous experiments. Dr. Eli Vance, known for his calm demeanor and sharp intellect, played a hands-on role in the theoretical and practical applications of teleportation. While not present during the Cascade, his involvement in Black Mesa's Xen expeditions helped lay the groundwork for the experiments in Sector C. Vance's later comments in Half-Life 2 reflect his awareness of the risks involved, suggesting that some scientists, including himself, recognized the dangers of pushing Black Mesa's technology too far, but were powerless to stop the momentum behind the projects. Dr. Isaac Kleiner, in contrast, was more focused on the technical optimization of the teleportation arrays and the refinement of equipment used to stabilize interworld travel. His role was essential in ensuring the precision of Black Mesa's experiments, though even his meticulous work couldn't prevent the Cascade. Unlike Vance, Kleiner's absence from the Resonance Cascade is less discussed, but his later contributions to rebuilding humanity's scientific knowledge in Half-Life 2 demonstrate the depth of his expertise and the critical role he played in recovering from Black Mesa's collapse. The work of Vance and Kleiner also extended beyond pure research. Both were instrumental in developing protocols for accessing Xen safely, though the Cascade highlighted how fragile those safeguards were. Their insights into teleportation science became critical during the Cascade's aftermath, as surviving scientists in the Lambda complex attempted to mitigate the disaster. These two figures, though largely operating behind the scenes during the incident, represent the dual nature of Black Mesa's legacy: groundbreaking scientific achievement overshadowed by catastrophic failure. Dr. Wallace Breen was more than just the administrator of Black Mesa. He was the facility's ultimate authority, overseeing its operations, funding, and long-term goals. While most scientists were focused on their respective fields, Breen's role was to balance the interests of corporate sponsors, government backers, and Black Mesa's cutting-edge research. His decisions directly shaped the high-pressure environment that made the Resonance Cascade possible, and some evidence suggests that his influence may have gone even further, potentially turning the disaster into an opportunity. Breen's leadership style was pragmatic to the point of being ruthless. Internal memos and scattered in-game references depict him as someone who prioritized Black Mesa's competitive edge over safety or ethical considerations. Researchers raised concerns about the instability of the Xen crystal GG3883, but Breen reportedly dismissed these warnings, likely under pressure to deliver results. What makes Breen's role particularly suspicious is his absence during the Cascade. As the facility fell into chaos, Breen was nowhere to be found, leading to the speculation that he may have been deliberately removed from harm's way. By the time Half-Life 2 begins, Breen has risen to the role of Earth's administrator under Combine rule, facilitating the occupation and speaking on behalf of the alien oppressors. This rapid transition to a position of power raises questions about his knowledge of the Combine before the Cascade. Some fan theories supported by cryptic clues and unused content suggest that Breen may have had prior contact with the Combine and viewed the Resonance Cascade as a means to gain leverage. If Breen orchestrated or encouraged the experiment knowing it could destabilize Earth, it's possible he saw the incident as a way to negotiate his survival and ascend to power. His post-incident collaboration with the Combine aligns with this interpretation, as Breen often framed their rule as a necessary step in humanity's evolution, a perspective that conveniently aligned with his self-preservation. Data-mined files and cut dialogue provide tantalizing hints about Breen's ambitions and potential foreknowledge. One unused line refers to Breen discussing opportunities beyond this world, a phrase that some fans interpret as a nod to the Combine's presence. Additionally, the urgency with which Breen pushed for high-stake experiments like the anti-mass spectrometer test aligns with the idea that he may have been working towards goals beyond Black Mesa's stated mission. The G-Man's role in the Black Mesa incident was deliberate. Unlike the scientists, military personnel, and security staff caught in the chaos, The G-Man moves through the facility with unusual ease, appearing in areas that should be inaccessible during the cascade. His cryptic presence isn't incidental, and one of the strongest links to his involvement is the crystal GG3883. Some theories suggest that he maybe manipulated Black Mesa's hierarchy or corporate backers to push the experiment forward, ensuring the cascade would unfold exactly as planned. The crystal's critical role ties directly to the G-Man's broader motives, though what those are remains shrouded in mystery. Throughout the incident, the G-Man's appearances are unnervingly precise. He's seen watching Gordon Freeman from hidden vantage points, such as inaccessible catwalks or locked observation rooms. These sightings suggest he wasn't simply observing the chaos, he was monitoring Freeman specifically. His movements imply a focus on positioning Freeman for survival, ensuring he reached the Lambda complex and ultimately Xen. The G-Man's interest in Freeman, both during and after the incident, raises questions about whether Freeman's role as the one to shut down the Nihilith was preordained. What makes the G-Man particularly unsettling is how detached he is from the destruction around him. While Black Mesa burns and collapses, he remains calm and calculating, interacting with the disaster only when it suits his agenda. His cryptic remarks in later games, such as his reference to unforeseen consequences, hint that the Resonance Cascade wasn't just an accident, but a controlled event, manipulated to serve the interests of the G-Man's mysterious employers. Whether this was to pave the way for the Combine's invasion, destabilize Earth for other purposes, or ensure Freeman's survival as a useful asset, the G-Man's hand in the cascade is undeniable. The security and support staff of Black Mesa are often overlooked, but their role during the incident was critical to the survival of many personnel. Figures like Barney Calhoun, introduced in Half-Life Blue Shift, provided a grounded perspective on the chaos. As a security guard stationed at Black Mesa, Barney was thrust into the middle of the disaster, tasked not only with his own survival, but also with helping others navigate the collapsing facility. Barney's story highlights the fragmented communication and lack of preparation that defined the incident. As shown in Blue Shift, Calhoun begins the day performing routine duties, unaware of the scale of the experiments happening in Sector C. When the cascade occurs, he finds himself cut off from Central Command and forced to rely on quick thinking and resourcefulness to navigate the aftermath. His efforts to assist trapped scientists and his involvement in evacuation efforts demonstrate how the support staff became unsung heroes during the disaster. Black Mesa's security force wasn't just dealing with alien threats, they also faced directives from higher-ups to contain the situation at all costs. This included attempts to suppress knowledge of the incident, as hinted by scattered memos and dialogue referencing orders to secure the site. This dual mandate left many guards in impossible positions. Forced to choose between following orders and protecting lives, Barney's resistance to these directives, as seen in his actions to assist survivors, makes him a standout figure in Black Mesa's otherwise grim response. Beyond Calhoun, the facility's support staff, including maintenance crews and lower-level technicians, were integral in keeping critical systems running long enough for survivors to escape. Their work, often unseen or uncredited, ensured the vital parts of the facility remained operational despite the chaos. The failure of Black Mesa's upper management to provide evacuation protocols or clear guidance further highlights how much responsibility fell on these workers to improvise and adapt in the face of overwhelming odds. The day started like any other at Black Mesa. Scientists carried out pre-test checks on the anti-mass spectrometer, while Gordon Freeman, equipped with his HEV suit, received routine instructions to transport the Xen crystal GG3883. Despite a few quiet murmurs about the crystal's instability, the team initiated the experiment as planned. The control room buzzed with activity as the spectrometer's energy levels were calibrated, each stage unfolding without issue. The first sign of trouble came as the spectrometer beam struck the crystal. Almost immediately, its energy output surged beyond predicted levels. Warning lights flashed and alarm systems engaged. Control room staff scrambled to shut down the experiment, but the system was already compromised. The spectrometer's containment systems failed as GG3883 emitted a cascade of volatile energy. Gordon Freeman, following protocol, pushed the crystal into the analysis chamber, an action that inadvertently triggered the resonance cascade. The resonance cascade began with a violent energy discharge, creating an explosion that sent shockwaves through Sector C. The initial breach formed within the spectrometer chamber, tearing open a rift between Earth and Xen. From this point, the cascade grew uncontrollably, spawning new rifts throughout the facility. Each breach brought an influx of alien life forms. Vortigons, headcrabs, and bull squids materialized across Black Mesa, their sudden appearances overwhelming unprepared staff. The facility's interconnected systems exacerbated the chaos. The cascade's energy surges disabled communications and power grids, leaving sectors isolated from one another. Security teams attempted to respond, but with no clear directives, their efforts were fragmented. Alien creatures quickly overran key areas, turning Black Mesa's state-of-the-art labs into battlegrounds. Freeman, now separated from the control team, began navigating the collapsing facility to survive. As the cascade spread, its effects became more unpredictable. Portals opened at random, dragging employees into Xen and pulling more alien species into Black Mesa. Some rifts caused localized gravitational distortions, while others released bursts of energy that obliterated nearby equipment and personnel. The facility's emergency systems failed to contain the breaches, and panic gripped the survivors. In the immediate aftermath, efforts to organize a response fell apart. Scientists in the Lambda complex, aware of the rift's potential to destroy the entire facility, began devising a plan to send someone to Xen to shut it down. Security teams, including figures like Barney Calhoun, prioritized evacuating personnel, though many were trapped by collapsing infrastructure or swarmed by alien attacks. Some scientists attempted to barricade themselves in laboratories, but a few lasted long against the relentless onslaught. The Cascade's expansion was relentless. Key sectors, including the administrative offices and advanced research areas, were breached within few hours. Survivors report hearing the agonized screams of colleagues as they were ambushed by creatures or dragged into rifts. By the time Freeman reached the Lambda complex, Black Mesa was unrecognizable. The sequence of events paints a picture of a disaster that was both immediate and unstoppable. Each stage of the cascade fed into the next, amplifying the destruction and compounding the facility's collapse. What began as a single unstable experiment transformed into a chain reaction that shattered Black Mesa and set the stage for Earth's darkest chapter. The aftermath of the resonance cascade brought a swift and brutal response from the United States government, which deployed the Hazardous Environment Combat Unit, or HECU, to Black Mesa. Initially, their mission appeared straightforward: contain the situation by neutralizing alien threats and evacuating survivors. However, as the scale of the disaster became apparent, their orders shifted toward a darker goal: eliminating all witnesses, including Black Mesa staff. The HECU Marines, equipped with advanced weaponry and tactical gear, descended on the facility with surgical precision. They quickly established control over key sectors, engaging alien creatures and rescuing a few survivors in the process. However, as alien forces grew overwhelming, their mission changed. New orders from High Command prioritized secrecy over rescue operations, leading the Marines to turn on the very scientists they were initially sent to protect. This betrayal became evident in Sector E, where survivors barricaded themselves against both alien attacks and their supposed rescuers. Amid the chaos, a second faction entered the picture: the Black Ops, an elite and shadowy unit with objectives that remained shrouded in mystery. Unlike the HECU, the Black Ops showed no interest in containment or rescue. Their operations focused on sabotage and complete eradication of Black Mesa. Evidence of their handiwork can be seen in destroyed infrastructure, planted explosions, and systematic eliminations of survivors. Some speculate that their presence was tied to interests beyond the government's control, possibly connected to the Combine or other powerful entities seeking to bury Black Mesa's research permanently. The simultaneous presence of HECU forces, Black Ops, and alien creatures transformed Black Mesa into a literal war zone. The facility's interconnected sectors became battlegrounds, where Marines fought alien hordes while evading the Black Ops' increasingly aggressive sabotage efforts. The Lambda Complex, once a hub of cutting-edge teleportation research, became the focal point of this conflict, as survivors gathered to attempt a last-ditch effort to close the rift. This militarized response highlights how far the government was willing to go to contain the Cascade's fallout. The betrayal of Black Mesa staff and the deliberate destruction of the facility reflect the desperation to suppress the incident's existence. However, these efforts came at tremendous cost, as the only escalating conflict added to the death toll and destruction. The presence of multiple factions within Black Mesa underscores the layered complexity of the incident as well. Each group, HECU, Black Ops, and the aliens had their own objectives, but their intersecting conflicts turned the facility into a battleground. The HECU Marines deployed to Black Mesa were portrayed as highly trained and ruthless, but hints throughout the game reveal their unpreparedness for the sheer scope of the alien threat. Dialogue snippets during combat show moments of fear and confusion as Marines confront creatures like headcrabs, bull squids, and vortigons for the first time. Lines like, "What the hell are these things?" and "They didn't train us for this," suggest that despite their advanced equipment, the Marines had no knowledge of the alien life forms they were about to face. This fear highlights a critical oversight in the government's response. While Black Mesa had been conducting experiments with Xen for years, it's evident that this information wasn't shared with the HECU beforehand. The Marines were deployed under the assumption that they were dealing with a standard containment operation, not an interdimensional breach teeming with hostile alien forces. This lack of preparation not only made their mission more difficult, but also contributed to the glowing chaos within the facility. Decrypted communications, however, suggest that certain factions within the government may have been aware of Xen long before the Cascade. Hidden files and unused dialogue imply that Black Mesa had been providing live alien specimens and data to military contractors for classified projects. These collaborations, kept secret from even the HECU, suggest that elements of the government were not only aware of Xen's existence, but were actively exploiting its resources for military applications. One particularly intriguing piece of hidden lore comes from a data mine file referencing a Project Riftwalker, a classified initiative involving live Xen creatures. While its exact purpose remains unclear, the project's existence raises questions about how much the government knew about Xen's potential dangers, and why it chose not to share this information with its containment teams. Freeman's mission as Xen was as much about survival as it was about resolution. The Lambda Complex's scientists, recognizing the Cascade's source was tied to Xen's dimensional properties, developed a makeshift teleportation system to send Freeman directly into the border world. Freeman's unique position, armed with an HEV suit, extensive knowledge of the facility, and unmatched resilience, made him the only viable candidate for the mission. And Freeman faced an entirely alien environment, navigating floating islands, strange gravity fields, and hostile creatures. His role wasn't simply to explore, but to reach the Nihilith and neutralize it, a task that required battling through hordes of alien defenders and adapting to the border world's unpredictable physics. Xen itself is more than just a setting, it's a character in the Half-Life universe, with its ecosystem and inhabitants playing a central role in the narrative. The border world is portrayed as a dimensional crossroads, a fragmented landscape filled with floating platforms, glowing energy pools, and organic structures. The Vortigaunts stand out as one of their most significant species. Initially hostile, their role evolves across the entire series, revealing their sentience and forced servitude under the Nihilith. I have a whole video about the Vortigaunts if you'd like to watch that after this one. The battle with the Nihilith serves as the climax of Freeman's journey through Xen and the Resonance Cascade itself. This immense orb-like creature acts as both the guardian of Xen and the gatekeeper of the rift destabilizing Earth. Defeating the Nihilith isn't just about brute force, it's a strategic battle that involves disabling its protective energy sources and navigating its disorienting attacks. As Freeman delivers the final blow, the creature's cryptic final words, "You are free," hint at a deeper story. These words, combined with scattered clues, suggest that the Nihilith was enslaved by the Combine, forced to guard Xen and maintain its control over the dimensional rift. The Nihilith's cryptic lines during the battle are one of the most intriguing aspects of the encounter. Phrases like, "The truth you cannot see," and "Their slaves we are," suggest that it views both itself and the Vortigaunts as victims of a greater power. While the Combine isn't explicitly mentioned in Half-Life, later games reveal their dominance over multiple worlds, including Xen. This retroactive context adds a layer of tragedy to the Nihilith, transforming it from a mere antagonist into a symbol of oppression under the Combine's reach. Freeman's mission to Xen wasn't just the resolution of the Resonance Cascade, it was the uncovering of a larger narrative about the border world. The journey through Xen marked a turning point, closing one chapter of the Half-Life universe while opening the door to a larger conflict with the Combine. The government's decision to bomb Black Mesa marked the final phase of its response to the Resonance Cascade. Airstrikes targeted key sectors, including the Lambda Complex, to obliterate any surviving evidence of the facility's work. This wasn't just a matter of containing alien life forms, it was about erasing Black Mesa's existence from public record. Civilian inquiries about the incident were met with silence or misinformation, painting the disaster as an unexplained accident. What's less discussed is the timing of the bombing. The decision to deploy airstrikes coincided with the arrival of Black Ops forces, suggesting that these elite operatives may have been tasked with identifying or securing critical assets before their destruction. Some fans speculate that Black Ops teams were also involved in planting demolition charges within the facility, ensuring that nothing remained intact after the bombing. This coordinated effort highlights the lengths at which the government and potentially other entities were willing to go to suppress the truth. Scrapped Half-Life 2 content reveals the possibility of a surviving Black Mesa satellite. This satellite, which continued transmitting data long after the facility's destruction, may have contained critical research on Xen or other dimensions. Concept art and early drafts hint at the Combine interest in the satellite, suggesting that it played a role in their invasion strategy. The idea of a surviving Black Mesa artifact raises questions about how much of the facility's work truly perished in the bombing. Was this satellite transmitting data to Earth, or had it become a beacon for otherworldly entities? Its connection to the Combine, while speculative, reinforces the theme of Black Mesa's unintended consequences, reaching far beyond its walls. The Combine's arrival was unprecedented in both its speed and its scale. Within hours, massive portal storms erupted across the planet, creating rifts that allowed the Combine to deploy their forces directly to key locations. These storms destabilized Earth's environment, disrupting global communications and infrastructure before the first Combine soldiers even set foot on the ground. The shock of the invasion alone rendered most military forces unable to mount an effective defense. What set the Combine apart was their technology. Earth's militaries, built around conventional weapons and tactics, were entirely unprepared for the Combine's advanced arsenal. Bioengineered soldiers like the synths, enormous striders capable of decimating entire city blocks, and aerial forces like gunships and dropships overwhelmed every defense. Suppression fields disrupted human communication and coordination, further crippling any organized resistance. The war's brevity wasn't due to a lack of resistance, though. It was because resistance was futile. Within hours, entire cities were obliterated, military installations were destroyed, and Earth's leadership was in disarray. It's unclear how much of humanity's armed forces even had a chance to engage the Combine, as most of their infrastructure was disabled before they could act. Dr. Wallace Breen emerged as a central figure during this time, negotiating humanity's surrender. As Earth's self-appointed representative, Breen brokered a deal that ceded control of the planet to the Combine in exchange for the survival of the species. This act, while framed as necessary, has been heavily criticized both in-universe and by fans as a betrayal. Breen's subsequent role as Earth's administrator cemented his position as a collaborator, though it's unclear of how much of a choice he truly had. The Combine wasted no time consolidating their control after the war. Citadels were constructed in major cities, serving as both administrative hubs and symbols of their dominance. These towering structures were designed to house Combine forces, manage Earth's population, and extract resources for their empire. Suppression fields were deployed to inhibit human production, ensuring that Earth's population would dwindle under their rule. The occupation wasn't just about physical domination, it was psychological. The Combine used Breen to spread propaganda, framing their rule as a step towards humanity's evolution. Meanwhile, resistance movements began to form in secret, driven by those who refused to accept the Combine's control. These seeds of rebellion would later grow into the events of Half-Life 2, but during the 7-Hour War and its immediate aftermath, hope seemed all but extinguished. Early drafts of Half-Life 2 suggest that Valve initially intended to delve deeper into the Combine's arrival and Earth's capitulation. Concept art and developer notes reveal scenes of cities engulfed in portal storms, military forces overwhelmed by Combine synths, and civilians fleeing in terror as suppression fields were deployed. One particularly intriguing piece of cut content involved a sequence where players would witness the aftermath of the Combine's initial assault, including shattered urban landscapes and the first signs of Combine architecture emerging from conquered cities. These early ideas would have provided a visceral depiction of the 7-Hour War, showing how humanity's resistance was crushed not just by superior firepower, but by the Combine's ability to reshape itself. While these scenes didn't make it to the final game, their influence can still be felt in the devastated environments of City 17. At its core, the Black Mesa Incident was a scientific disaster, but its ripple effects transformed it into a global and interdimensional turning point. The Resonance Cascade didn't just destroy a research facility, it shattered Earth's dimensional stability, unleashing alien forces and paving the way for the Combine's invasion. The incident was the catalyst for the 7-Hour War, Earth's occupation, and the rise of the Resistance, establishing a domino effect that continues to unfold across the Half-Life series. But the story is far from over. The Half-Life series continues to evolve, and with each new revelation, the legacy of the Black Mesa Incident grows. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on how I can make these videos better for you, or any ideas for videos you'd like in the future. Thank you again so much for watching. Mr. Stawiki out.